Happy Spiritual Sunday to you and welcome back. Hope you had an amazing week. Hope that you've grown and been able to see more of how the light operates in your life, which is really what not only Spiritual Sunday, but the entire mission of the Kabbalah Centre is, that everybody will understand the spiritual system that is universal, means it works for every human being on earth, but essentially like any system, if a person doesn't make use of the system or doesn't make an effort to work that system, then it doesn't work for them. Doesn't mean that the system doesn't work. It means that the person is not using it, or even sometimes we misuse it. Driving, in simple terms, to drive a car, essentially is the same for everybody. Anywhere in the world, essentially the gas makes it go, the brake makes it stop, the steering wheel turns it, the gears shift forward, backwards, or what have you. So there's a system, and also how to drive. You stop at the stop sign, you signal when you change the lanes, all of those rules of the road, in simple physical terms, they're kind of universal. So why are there accidents, and why do people, scrape their cars, etc., etc.? Because they're not using the system completely or properly. If everybody followed the system and made an effort to follow the system, then essentially we could avoid accidents. We could avoid, deaths on the road. But unfortunately, what gets in the way? We get distracted by whatever it may be. People say today, texting and driving. Well, years back when I learned to drive, there was no such thing as a cell phone. So what was the distraction? Was the radio, people playing with the radio, or people, looking for a piece of paper that may have fallen, or things like that. There's always a choice to pay attention or not. And whatever that is, pay attention to how people act in your life, what's going on with your family, friends, business people, etc., or not. Be caught up in paying attention to ourselves. What's going on with me? Why don't I have this? Where do I have to go? What do I think I'm missing? Why are they doing this to me? Whatever. It's either the choice of paying attention to things around us for my betterment, for our betterment, or only looking about me, myself, and I, which somewhere down the road is going to create chaos in that person's life for paying attention only to themselves. And this is fundamentally all that the Kabbalists have been teaching us, and the whole mission of the center, technically for 100 years, and really in true spiritual terms, since Adam and Eve, and the huge milestone, let's call it, of the Zohar being put into writing 2,000 years ago. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So let's start as we do, first with something from Karen's book, Simple Light. And she says like this: each person is a world unto himself, and every group extends their vibration outward. We extend our vibration to one another, to communities, and to the whole world. Each and every action we take is like a prayer. Our actions are what will be passed on to the rest of the world. We can extend our energy outward to share or to harm. The choice is up to us. And so, like we were just saying, we are deciding. We decide our destiny. And so let's start off with our affirmation that helps us choose to behave more like the light of the Creator. And so we say it together: consciousness is everything. I raise my consciousness today to see the miracles and wonders of life. I commit myself to behave with greater love, compassion, and kindness towards all human beings. So let's just start with something simple. We would all, hopefully, all spiritual people will say that the Creator is good. And it's infinite, infinitely powerful. So if the essence of the Creator is good, then the only thing, and I do emphasize, the only thing it can create is good. Whatever the Creator creates has to be good like itself. And therefore, as we've come to understand, good people, a good world, good things in the world, nature, the universe, the stars and the planets, but particularly for us, people. Every human being is created as a good person. So then obviously the question is, why do people behave imperfect? Why do people behave in a negative way? And so you and I have come to understand, and we'll just quick reminder, in the endless world, the Creator created us as a vessel, a container that was created with what's called the desire to receive the light. That's it. The Creator wanted to share its light. It needed to have a vessel that could receive that light. And therefore, the vessel, our one soul, was created with a desire to receive, ultimately, eternal bliss, total fulfillment from the light of the Creator. And then the Creator, and this is metaphorical for those of you who may be newer, and then filled us with light. So every human being on earth is part of one soul that today is extended, if you will, out into 8.5 billion physical bodies, but it's still one soul. And each one of us has within that soul the two aspects: desire to receive light as fulfilling, or the desire to share. So in this world, it's simple. We either want to get or we make an effort to share. That's it. So it's free will that we all have that allows us, as we were saying in the beginning, to make a choice to not share our light. And if a person not sharing light, even in simple physical terms, if a person walks into the darkness and doesn't shine some form of light, they're walking in darkness. They have chosen to walk in darkness. When we activate physically some light source, a match, a flashlight, or lights in a room, we are now choosing to remove darkness and illuminate the room or our pathway. And therefore, free will has been given to us and determines what our destiny is. In this world, the light, that one soul, took on a physical body. We have something called a brain. And this, for me, was one of the most profound awarenesses when I took Kabbalah 1 back in 1987. And for me, it's important that we constantly remind ourselves, my brain, your brain, does not create thoughts. No different than your television, your computer, your radio does not create pictures, movies, music, what have you. It is the manifester of the physical sound waves or television waves or internet signals. Our brain is simply a receiver of two types of thoughts. One, from the original artificial intelligence program that we collectively put in one side of our brain, metaphorically, called the opponent, the adversary, the challenger. Even the word Satan, which means the opponent. To oppose our purpose in this world of simply sharing our light, imitating the Creator, and thereby manifesting our blessings more and more completely, till we all achieve 100%. On the other side of our brain is the stream of consciousness of our soul. Pure love, kindness, compassion, generosity, humility, all the godlike, light-like behaviors. So we have those two streams, one that says take, the artificial intelligent program of the opponent, and one that says share, which is what our heart and soul wants to do. Just share our light. Have joy, happiness, peace, and love and unity all the time. Each of those choices has a consequence to it. And this is where we need to remember to understand we decide our future. We decide our destiny with every choice we make. The Rav used to talk about person gets in their car and starts driving. They're driving to work like they might normally do. The choice that you and me or that person makes to drive at the speed limit, a little over, a little under, when exactly to drive out of the driveway, etc. Every choice that a driver makes along the way determines what their experience on the road will be. And so like the Rav would say, when heaven forbid two cars meet in the intersection, a fender bender, it is the result of all the choices that they made up to that point. Let's keep it just to the idea of driving. In other words, whichever one we say is quote unquote at fault, one who ran the red light, but the other one who was hit, if they'd driven a little slower or a little faster or had left 2 seconds earlier from their house sort of thing, they would have avoided the accident. So it's important for us to understand every decision we make ultimately is creating our destiny. And in fundamental terms, we only have two choices, two options, which is one free will choice. We have the option of seeking to receive, take, get, as we spoke last week, or to share and emanate more light. That's our choice. And the choices have their consequences. What we call reactive behavior, the desire to receive oneself alone, instant gratification, but it's short-term fulfillment, and then adds more spiritual debt, which means another challenge has to come, and maybe a little tougher, a little more difficult, etc. The proactive, acting like the light, sharing our light when it's not comfortable, when we don't feel like doing it, but sharing our light anyway, because in a challenging situation, it's giving us the opportunity to shine our light into a piece of our darkness. And you shine light into darkness, the darkness goes away, and the blessing of the light of the Creator that you're shining out will manifest blessings. So it's, yes, initially it's uncomfortable, but that's short term, and long term comes greater peace, clarity, love, prosperity, blessings of the light that you've revealed, that extra light you revealed by that extra effort of sharing when you were triggered to receive, and that AI program said receive. The Zohar explains to us, now you have a understanding, really there's only one free will choice with two options. Doesn't matter what we do in our life, everything that comes our way, good and bad, gives us the opportunity of choosing to act more like the light of the Creator, go our next level up of achieving our spiritual potential of eternal bliss, shining 100% of our light, or the person has the choice to continue acting in desire to receive oneself alone, instant gratification, receiving for oneself, anger, jealousy, fear, guilt, shame, greed, ego, judgment. Those are our choices, but each one either brings more chaos, although it was instant gratification, but short term, or more blessings, more harmony, more order. So we are constantly creating our future, and therefore the Zohar says, the way a person chooses to go, the way a person wants to go, is the way the universe will lead them, because like will attract like. So a person wants to go down the path of ego, jealousy, greed, insecurity, lack thinking, poverty thinking, judgment, etc. The universe will keep showing them the way to go down that path. In other words, once a person is looking, so to speak, simple terms, at the half-empty part of life, the part that's still chaotic, etc., then by like will attract like, they'll keep seeing with their eyes more and more things to be jealous about, angry about, selfish about, greedy about, judgmental about, jealous about, etc. We know ultimately that's to give us the opportunity to correct those things. Or there's the other path where we choose to go, that we want to go down the path of the light, and we're willing to make more and more effort to be loving and kind and compassionate and generous and humble and grateful. That's it. That's it. So the Zohar is telling us we have the choice. What makes it difficult? Remember the AI program, going back to Adam and Eve in the metaphor of the Bible. And again, just to remind you, we do believe that the 5 books of Moses, the Bible, is also physically true. There was an Adam and Eve, there was Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, there was the 40 years in the desert, on and on like that. But they were showing us the physical manifestations of the universal spiritual laws that the Kabbalah and the Zohar teaches us. So it's not just we should believe only the physical stories, but we want to see through that. We want to get what the code of the Bible, as we call it, is teaching us for today, the year 2025. How we can live by the spiritual laws of the universe and have our own freedom from bondage, freedom from chaos, joy, happiness, peace, love, prosperity, protection, all the good things. Now, you and me, because there was only one soul, split into the 2 people we call Adam and Eve, but it's still one soul. At that point, it was just extended into 2 bodies. So where did their free will come in? One was the tree of knowledge, tree of knowledge, good and evil, good and bad, versus or with the tree of life, which is eternal light. And then the free will really came in with the snake or the opponent. That's the way the Bible, in its coded way, would call that AI program, the challenger, taunting and tempting. Every time we want to reveal light, it's got to give us reasons why to just take for ourselves. And in the simple code of the Bible, if you read it, simple terms, the snake looks at Adam and Eve and says, "Ooh, don't you want to be wise like God?" Of course, who doesn't want to be? We came here to imitate the Creator, so we want to be able to, let's say, think and have a knowingness of what the Creator knows. So the snake says, "So you want to eat of the tree of knowledge?" But we had been told not to eat of the tree of knowledge because it wasn't just the tree of knowledge. It was the tree of immersing oneself, because knowledge means connection, like an intimate connection with, good and bad. So there was the realm of pure light, tree of life, and then there's the realm of chaos, the tree of knowledge, good and evil. And it was the snake that taunted us to choose reactive, instant gratification. How did it say, "Oh, look, it's good for knowledge, it looks good, right? Smells good, you can almost imagine it tastes good," like basically all the desire to sing oneself alone, taunting us with our 5 senses. And sadly, what did we do? We gave in, because it's still you and me. Don't look and say, "Well, that was Adam and Eve." We are all descendants and more so pieces of that one soul that was split into 2 bodies and then has just been continuing to split into 8.5 billion bodies, but it's still one soul. That's it. So each of us have a piece of that wrong choice that we made collectively as Adam and Eve. And every day we have the choice, every moment of the day, choosing to receive, I got to get reactivity, or I want to be proactive, I want to share more light even when it's uncomfortable, because that's the way I move up to my next level, have my next blessings, be more protected by the light that I'm shining. That's it. Now, the mistake we made, as the Kabbalists teach us, the mistake we made by making the wrong choice was not just in the moment. Like, for example, a person makes, let's say we were talking about cars, person makes the wrong choice to suddenly text, read a message on their phone, get distracted in some way. So it's not just the mistake of the moment, but at that moment that they went about some distraction, they hit another car, a fender bender. So the mistake is not just for the moment, so to speak. Physical terms in that way, oh, now comes all the rest of dealing with the insurance, getting things corrected, fixing, taking the time, the money, the effort, whatever, to fix that mistake. More importantly, the Kabbalists teach us that what you and I did as Adam and Eve, which even in a way we do with that accident, in other words, a person knows they shouldn't be texting and driving. So why at that moment did they decide to text and drive and get into that fender bender? Because, as the Kabbalists say, with you and me as Adam and Eve, it also, if you will, not only created pain, suffering, and death in the world because we chose the world of chaos over the world of eternal bliss, the pure light, but it, in essence, started already to corrupt our thinking, poisoned our thinking, if you will, took that pure light that the Creator put in us and covered it with a little bit of mud. Because you can't defect the soul, but you can cover the light with spiritual mud. And so the same thing, the person's thought in that way of, oh, it's okay, I'll just do it a quick second and check the text messages. Bad thinking. So yes, there's an accident that comes from that, but there's still a bad thought. Oh, here and there, whatever. They could pay attention to something else. Maybe look at something going on the side of the road, maybe play with the radio, maybe look at the cell phone. You understand the idea. It's also, let's call it corrupted or quote, dirty thinking. Yes, okay, I hear you. Right, like that. So then what's our spiritual work? Each and every one of us took a piece, if you will, of the collective soul that was that first being, that then split into Adam and Eve, and then split into all of us. Each of us have a piece, if you will, of that spiritual debt, of that spiritual mud, that it's our work to cleanse. That's essentially our spiritual work. Yes, big picture, fundamentally to imitate the Creator. And that's the only way we cleanse the mud, is turning, let's call it that distracted thought, transforming it, cleaning it of the mud, if you will, by what? A greater action of love, kindness, compassion, generosity, humility, forgiveness, tolerance, gratitude, etc. Light behaviors. You remove the mud, physical mud, with water. You remove the reactive thinking with spiritual light, the cleansing power of the spiritual light that we have inside of us. So it's not easy because, like the Kabbalists say, our only battle is here in our consciousness. Consciousness is everything. We affirm it every time we meet. As we talked last week, and I read you from the Zohar, we've been habitualized. Simple terms, by giving in over and over and over to the tree of knowledge, good and evil, in the form of all the different things. At work, at home, driving down the street, going to the movies, shopping, going out to dinner, social events. In every place we go, it's still the same two choices. Tree of life, proactive behavior, tree of knowledge, good and evil, reactive behavior. But it looks different. There's different sceneries because we walk around this world, we do different things on a daily basis. So we have different scenery, we have a different environment, but it's still the same two choices. And so our work is cleansing the thought, if you will, healing the defect. And please remember, we cannot defect the light. Like our eyes are seeing each other right now. If we put on a blindfold or cover our eyes, we're not defecting the eyes. We've put a cover on it. Take away the cover, and the eyes are now able to see what's going on outside of them. If we're sending light from our heart and soul out into the world, then the light is brighter. We're more able to see reality, truth. We're able to see the laws of cause and effect at work. We're able to see opportunities to fix another piece, to cleanse another piece of spiritual mud that I'm responsible for, that you're responsible for, by what? When we're triggered. If the mistake we made, if the wrong choice we made was taking instead of sharing our light, then the only way to correct that is when we're put in a situation where, as we say, our buttons are pushed. Meaning something happens and activates another sense of, I want to take, I want to get. That reactive, instant, knee-jerk reactive behavior. Something has to trigger that. And this is why you and I learn from Kabbalah 1 forward. Something triggers us, pause, think, what do I want to come back to me? And just start sending light. Share the light out. You start channeling the light. The darkness starts to go away. You start to see clearer. And as you're channeling the light, then, because the brain is only the receiver, more and more of our thoughts, if we're sending out light, then the channel of light coming through our head will be able to be more easily heard, and we'll follow that. The action of love. We'll know what the right loving things to say, the right kind things, forgiving things, tolerant things, humble things to say and do. Reveal more light, take away darkness. And then we walk away in every other part of our life with that brighter light. Light doesn't stay, so to speak, only in that situation. But if more light is pouring out of our heart and soul, then everywhere we go, there's that greater light pouring out, greater clarity, greater guidance. And just automatically, like attracts like, more good coming our way, less chaos coming away. Now, just like in physical terms, the body is an energy system, right? In all ways, it takes energy for the organs of the body to work. In simple terms, our body is an electrical system, right? The nerves just channel electrical energy and therefore cause all of the functions in the body. So if something happens with the body that it's not functioning as it's created to function, so there are things called herbs that are capable to reactivate the weak, let's call it, physiological processes. So different types of herbs, supplements, will activate different parts of the physiology to help bring the organs, the body, back to its full and original health and vitality. It's already in there. The herbs bring it out, right? Cause the healing and the repair and let the original energy, full energy, be revealed. So like we've said, wait a second. We are also spiritual energy systems. The soul is the most powerful energy. It contains the light of the Creator. So within us, we were created, like we said at the very beginning, the Creator created the one perfect vessel, filled it with infinitely perfect light. We are perfect beings. We've spoken about how we've covered that perfection with mud. Our job is to clean the mud. But inside of us is 100% light. So when life is not 100% blissful, it means there's a defect in allowing the light to shine out. I want to be careful about making it sound like there's a defect in the soul itself. No, in our human beingness versus our divine beingness, the human beingness is the part that can be the covers of mud. Or it can just be a vehicle, like a car, that takes us perfectly where we need to go, and it's just a vehicle of the soul being able to share more light. So if there's physically herbs that can reawaken and reactivate a slow or a weak organ of the body physiologically, there has to be an original system to repair our spiritual mistakes. Jealousy, fear, ego, greed, guilt, shame, insecurity, etc. Has to be, because we're perfect inside. This is what the Zohar is. The Zohar just shines. Its name means splendor, illumination. The Zohar shines light. That's simple. That's it. The Zohar shines light. It's a book of illumination. And as we always say, like attracts like. So in the same way, an herbalist will give people different herbs to activate different organs in the body. So too, within the Zohar, if you will, there's different spiritual combinations of energy, like we do every week with our meditations. In this case, it's 3 simple letters, what we call one of the names of God, radiates energy. The combination is a unique frequency to activate a unique part of the Creator's light inside of us. So the Zohar is the entire system. The Zohar itself is all, in this world, it's all endless light. So it just radiates light. So you and I learn, yes, you open it up and you can scan. Or like we always talk about the sacred Zohar, which is all 23 volumes of Aramaic, but you can scan and you're awakening the light. But I want us to understand the book itself just radiates light. And now, what does that do? So it radiates light. It activates what? It doesn't activate the mud. Essentially, it pierces through the mud and activates the light of the Creator inside of us. And as that light is awakened, it doesn't do the work for us. But as it's awakened, it gives us a stronger voice or a louder volume on the voice of our soul. And then, again, we still have free choice. Even though the voice comes louder, the opponent is going to get in there and say, speak maybe a little louder also. No, go for yourself. Be angry. They said something nasty. You should be upset at them or scream at them or whatever, right? We have to grow, and both sides have to be equal. So we've got to push ourselves to act with greater love, kindness, and compassion. The Zohar is just awakening more energy, so we have more strength in that moment where we're, let's call it 50-50. We've been paused. The moment you pause, in essence, you're at 50-50. Not, let's say, on a soul level per se, but in that moment, in that point, when you're triggered, you want to scream and yell, but you pause. In essence now, 50-50 meaning what? Now you have the true choice. Do you want to react or proact? Just try and get the opposite of why we came here, or do you want to proact and shine more light? So we're at that point. And then whatever you do changes the balance of power, changes the balance of power in your life. So it either adds to darkness and makes the darkness heavier and more influential, impactful, or heaven forbid, or it turns the other way. When you pause and now you're sending more light into the darkness, you're removing the darkness, you're putting more energy, more power to the light becomes stronger, more impactful, and more blessed. again, how we create our destiny, how we choose what our future is. Now, people have asked me recently, which was a little surprising, I must say, but I've come to understand more and more clearly. Few people, about a month ago or so, in a discussion about the Zohar, they said, oh, but okay, you're telling me that just to have the Zohar, if we'll talk also, we have a Zohar project, spread Zohar all over the world. So these people are asking if they just put Zohar in their house, right? We're going around and we're distributing Zohars around the world. If it's just in somebody's house, on the shelf, in the car, in their pocket, it also works? Because their perception was, no, you have to have the conscious, we say conscious everything. And now as you're understanding, the Zohar is awakening the consciousness of light, of our true soul inside of us. So yes, the Zohar emanating light is impactful on the person because it's waking up, strengthening the voice of their soul, the power of the light inside them. So I thought of this, and I know maybe for some of you it's a little extreme, because it's hard. Remember, in the physical world, it still looks like a book. So you put the book on the shelf, like you can see I have over here, I have the set of Zohar. I know it's radiating light, and it's helping me to stay in the sphere of light. It's empowering me more and more, and essentially the light is pushing me forward and forward to be more kind. Like we say, greater love, kindness, compassion, generous, humble, forgiving, tolerant, and all the good light-like behaviors. So if you walk into somebody's house and you see whatever on a shelf on one of their bookcases, a little pile of dirt. To you it looks like dirt. You're thinking, wow, why did they have this pile of dirt there? It's just sitting there. It's not really doing anything, it's sitting there. But if you came to find out that that pile of dirt was uranium, we've come to understand uranium is radioactive, which means what? This pile of dirt is emanating radioactive energy, which is very detrimental to a human physiology, can ultimately kill people. But it's just a pile of dirt just sitting there on the shelf. Yes, but it's radiating. So how much more the Zohar radiating the endless light of the Creator. Just radiating. So yes, sitting on the shelf, it's impacting not only the people in the house, but everybody who walk in and out of the house is being radiated with the light of God to wake up more of the light that's already inside them for more transformation, revealing more light in the world, and because we are all one soul, activating an awakening in every human being on earth. That's the power of the Zohar. Now, I want to give you a couple quick examples. For me, the first miracle that I had with the Zohar goes back to 1989. I became a teacher in January 88. About a year after that, I was in New York, and my father lived in San Diego. And my father calls me up, and he was in his mid-70s, and he calls me up and he wants to tell me that he's got to go in for brain surgery. They found some brain virus and they had to do surgery. So they tell him, and he's telling me, he has a 15% chance of survival. Okay, not good. Within that, obviously it's brain surgery. So if he survives, there could also be all kinds of paralysis, various defects, because it's the brain. So he wanted me to know. And so the first thing I told him, and back then we didn't have the English Zohar, which is what this one is, Aramaic and English. It was just Aramaic and Hebrew. So I tell him, look, send me a check. I'm going to send you 23 books that you can't read to Aramaic and Hebrew, but you take the volume Pinchas, which is the healing energy. Said you take that book into the operating room. Doesn't matter. I told him, of course I was concerned for him. whatever the doctors say, that book must be in the operating room with you. They want to put it in plastic, whatever they want to do, whatever. So he goes through the surgery. Number one, he survived. But within the next few months, he's calling me and he's telling me the doctors are shocked how quickly he's healing. Okay, great. About 6 months after, he comes to visit me in New York. And I wasn't married at the time, so he was sleeping in my apartment. And as he's, getting in, I had 2 small beds. So I get in my bed, and as he's getting in bed, he takes his volume, the Healing Zohar, and he goes and he puts it under his pillow, under his head. And I said, Dad, what are you doing? He says, well, you told me it radiates healing energy, and that's where I need healing. And so I know you don't know my father, but that was quite shocking in a good way, miraculous. And he went on, he visited for a while, he went back home. He went back to school to get a PhD in hypnotherapy. He went back to playing tennis, and he scanned the Zohar twice a day, every day, from 1989 until he left the world in 2005. I truly believe the Zohar extended his life all that time. And obviously, since then, I can tell you for hours and hours other miraculous stories. But at that point, we had just books like this. Around 1987-8, as things way back then were heating up in the Middle East, the Rav and Karen got the message that we needed to be able to give Zohar to both sides, the Palestinians and the Israelis, because what was starting to go on. So at that point, we created this, the Pocket Zohar. And it's just, the first edition, which is mostly the one we still use now, is the healing section. Pinchas, it's called. Because, you can't give a big book, even like this one. It's not the full size as one of these over here, but nobody involved, policemen or whatever, they can't carry something like this. So that was the original intent in the creation of the pocket size, was for the soldiers and the police on both sides and as many people as we could get it to back then. So now, as you know, you and me, I carry one in my pocket all the time, etc., etc. This is the goal. What does it do? We've said it just radiates light to the heart and soul of everybody, because the soul is already made up of light, and we just want to awaken that light, because if consciousness is everything and you awaken more of the thoughts of love, kindness, and compassion, people will be urged from their own soul, from their guts, to behave. Yes, somebody said something nasty, but they'll have just an awakening of more energy of compassion and forgiveness and tolerance. And even those who are not learning, as we learn from Kabbalah 1, pause and send light, but just the awakening of the light of the Creator, the thoughts will be pressing inside them. Their guts will be waking up with the energy of compassion and kindness and forgiveness and tolerance. So somewhere along the way, even people who are not learning in the center will have that awakening, because light is illuminating. The light of the Creator, more illuminating and also powerful energy. So they'll be naturally more and more pushed to act with kindness and forgiveness and tolerance and apology and generosity and humility, on and on. And so the Rav and Karen always just explain to us simple. When we distribute a critical mass of Zohar, which really means what? When there's more light in the cosmos than there is darkness, because the light of the Zohar is shining and removing darkness, every Zohar that goes out there. When there's a critical mass, that will be the end of pain, suffering, and death, because the darkness will disappear. And once the darkness disappears, remember, everyone then will see the truth. I mean, right now, in the cover of darkness, even as they talk about in military or even thieves, in the cover of darkness, they can get away with things that are not necessarily good. In the cover of darkness, you and I have more temptation from the AI program called the opponent. There's more temptation to be a little upset, angry, jealous, a little more reactive, major or minor. Why? Because we don't see the cause and effect. We don't see how things went out and came back to us. All we saw is, and we weren't even acknowledging, we were unconscious of those instant reactive, self-centered behaviors that go out and bring back more challenges, giving us the opportunity to fix anger, jealousy, insecurity, greed, what have you. And we're not aware. We don't see the cause and effect. So when there's a critical mass of Zohar in the world, yes, one, most powerfully, it's awakening the light of the Creator inside each person on earth, because we're all one soul, which is why the more you and I scan and channel the light, we're just intensifying the light as it's shining out to the heart and soul of every person, which is why we do our meditation on one of the 72 names on Spiritual Sunday. And you're encouraged, obviously, during the week, scan your Zohar, Anaba Koach, 72 names, etc. But the more light there is, you're waking that up. You and I can intensify it by what we do, more shining the light. But everybody, once the light takes away the cover of darkness, every human being on earth will see, even in their past, they'll see every challenging thing that came to them was the effect of something they had done this life or past lives. And again, remember, we're not excusing the other person in that challenge. If a person behaves in a nasty way or a horrible way or whatever it is, they have their own cause and effect, and they're going to have to pay their spiritual debt. At the same time, you and I, seeking peace on earth, have to shift the consciousness of people. And those who are not open to come learn, what I consider our secret weapon, spread the Zohar, the light goes directly to the heart and soul, wakes it up until they feel, number one, more energy of love, kindness, tolerance, forgiveness, till they can't stand the pain they're feeling inside and they have to let it out, more kindness, greater love, kindness, compassion, and at the same time make the environment so bright that they see when they're about to steal, they're going to lose, let's say, 5 times as much down the line. When they're going to hit somebody because they're angry, they're going to see they and their loved ones going to get hit 5 times over. But they see the other side. If they're forgiving, forgiveness comes back to them and they have all kinds of blessings. If they give, tithing, charity, they're going to get 10 times more in return. Thief is not going to steal because they see they lose. They see when they give charity or they give their tithing, they get much more. That's what I consider the Messiah, end of all pain, suffering, and death. Because once we see it that clearly, everybody's only going to want to do the good things, the light behaviors, and run around to everybody on earth in the world and pay back whatever they did to harm them, whatever reactive thing. That's it. That's it. It's simple. Light takes away darkness. This is the power of the Zohar project. Critical mass of Zohar. This is why we went from the book to the small pocket size. Everybody can have this. Radiates light. The more of us spreading it out there, the faster. Because remember, we only have one opponent. We were one soul split into 2 bodies. But one soul. Adam and Eve were not enemies of each other. There is no enemy in a physical body. The enemy is the opponent, that program, that challenging program, AI, that we put in our heads to give us the free will that we have to make an effort to choose being like the light. And the effort we make to reveal light is the blessing, the contentment, the fulfillment that we get in return. So we have only one enemy. The opponent, that AI program. The Zohar is the most powerful way to destroy through transformation that opponent. The darkness to light, the chaos to order, the hatred to love, death to life. It's the only way, as the Zohar says of itself. The book of the Zohar will bring peace to the world with mercy. Now you understand even what that means. When people's soul is being activated to, in their level, a critical mass of light awakening, then the pain they feel inside for their anger, hatred, jealousy, greed, guilt, shame, will force them from inside to act more like the light. The more proactive and preemptive our actions of uncomfortable sharing are, that's mercy. Because the way of judgment is when people, unfortunately, like we see in the world, having to be beat again and again and again till they finally wake up and realize they're the only common factor in any and every bad thing that ever happened to them and every good thing that happened. They'll start to realize they're the source of their life. They're the ones creating their life. And so the point of the Zohar Project, spread the light. The Zohar Project as the center, we're not an exclusive group. We are completely inclusive. Every human being is part of every human being. One soul. The Zohar Project, which is the main project, mission, objective of the Kabbalah Centre, spread enough Zohar that the environment of the world will be light. Simple. Zohar in every home. The guaranteed, when there's a critical mass, guaranteed end of chaos and darkness, complete revelation of love your neighbors, yourself, unconditional love, and thereby the world living in peace, harmony, love, unity in the Garden of Eden once again, forever. God bless. Okay. I want to thank those of you, I know many of you have started to support the Zohar Project and the projects of the Center, and I want to thank you for that and encourage you to share with me and share with others the blessings you get. Just that people know, every now and then I tell stories about people who have had miracles. I have one very recently. A couple divorced, they had kids, as usual, one had this and this and this. So the one that's not the custodial parent, that's supposed to help with the support, whatever, you get the idea. They were having trouble. The one didn't want this and this, whatever, anger, jealousy, I'm sure, along the way. So the other one is a student in the center and was encouraged, just channel light. Of course, they had anger, they had resentment, not living up even to the contract or the agreement that they made. So they were going to go to court, and the student of the center, the one spouse, was encouraged, just channel light. Scan your Zohar, channel light, awaken the soul of the other person. Awaken the soul, awaken the soul. And on the day that they went to the court, it's a longer story, but there was some miracles happening in the court with the judge, with the whatever, all going on there, the logistics. And in the end of the story, things changed by the end of the day. And not only was it miraculous in the way things were manifest, but at the end of the story, it's like the agreement coming back to be settled. Both sides, like the more agitated spouse, let's call it, became more calm and more agreeable to work things out. And that's just one of the recent things that happened. So, yes, whatever you can give, just give. We've talked about it. Go online. I put here, put it again. You can go online for the Spiritual Sunday, and if your heart is open to it, just whatever you can give it as a recurring donation. And that way, every week or every month rather, the donation is going in. You're staying connected to the international network of the center in simple terms. So you're drawing more and more support from more of the 8.5 billion people on the planet, because more light is going out, awakening in them, and if you're helping to cause that, it comes back to you all the more. But whatever you can give, don't be shy. If you can only give $50, $18, $100, whatever you think is too little, just put it as a recurring donation. It will grow. It will grow because you put your love and your blessing in it. It will be sent out into the cosmos with love and blessings, and like will attract like. So it will come back and give you more. Okay? So I thank you for that. And then here, 72 names. I chose this one, Aleph Vav Mem. If you are unfamiliar, the Hebrew Aramaic letters are particles of the light of the Creator. Simple. They just shine light. Eyes are the window to the soul. So as you're scanning, Aleph Vav Mem, in this case it's building bridges. Building bridges, mending relationships. So the relationship of 8.5 billion parts of one soul have been fraught with divisiveness, blockages, separateness. So I want us to use this energy force, Aleph Vav Mem, to mend those relationships, build bridges again that connect on a more conscious level, along with the spiritual inherent level, unity, oneness, and the power that we, in joining together in this meditation, and just the center in general. So the more we all add into the center, the more unified, the more spaces and blockages we're taking away between the hearts and soul of people, and the faster we're bringing the end of pain, suffering, and death. Aleph Vav Mem, just let the shapes be engraved in your mind's eye. And now I ask you to sit comfortably in your seat, hands in your lap. Take a few deep breaths, breathing in through the nose. Hold the breath for a moment. Exhale through the mouth. Allowing yourself to increase the flow of the light of the Creator that's infused in every breath we take. Let it flow through you, in through the nose. Hold the breath for a moment, that this energy of the light flows from head to toe, activating more of the light in you, allowing you to relax. Exhale through the mouth, letting go of any blockages, tension, stress. Allowing yourself to feel the embrace of the infinite light. Feel the power of unconditional love surrounding you and waking up inside you. Feeling the light, feeling yourself relaxing into the light, acknowledging the pure and perfect light being that you are. And open your heart and soul for the revelation that your soul will give you, and the energy, the awakening that this meditation on the name of God will bring you. And so we envision together Aleph Vav Mem, just above our head, seeing a beam of light coming from the endless world, activating the light, the pure light, Aleph Vav Mem, of mending relationships, building bridges between the heart and soul of every human being. See the light shining from this energy, from these 3 nanoparticles of light. Feel the vibration as they're emanating this light of unity through building bridges. And we allow the Aleph Vav Mem to enter through the top of our head. That it's activating more intensely, more clearly, more powerfully the voice of the soul. And so listen for a moment what your soul is telling you. And let's allow the Aleph Vav Mem to shine its light as it continues from head to toe, activating more and more a higher level of the light that's already inside of us, giving us strength and power to overcome our opponent, the objections that we hear in our head, to simply be pure conduits of the light of the Creator through us, that we benefit completely from it, and out to the heart and soul of every person, that everybody has an awakening. And so take a beam of Aleph Vav Mem energy, light force, and beam it out from your heart and soul, out to the heart and soul of all your family and friends, all the people you work with, all the people in your neighborhood, and then through them, as they're being awakened also to the conscious awareness of the light in them, they're feeling an awakening to seek out the understanding of the purpose of life, why they're here, that they'll be drawn to find the Kabbalah Centre and its wisdom, that not only do they have the awakening of the power inside them, but a more clear understanding of how to apply it, how to live it, that they're increasing, multiplying the amount of light awakening in every human being on earth. And this light extends through everyone, to the whole planet, every human being, activating the light in the one soul, removing the spiritual mud, that everybody understands in their own consciousness the unity of all people, the power the Creator's implanted in us. The mission is to imitate the Creator 24/7, shining light in all of its forms: love, kindness, generosity, humility, gratitude. Out into the world to remove all darkness that has existed for thousands of years. And we see in our mind's eye and together in unity. All humanity, the entire planet, in harmony, in peace, as we have also mended and built bridges not only between the heart and soul of all humanity, but we've repaired, built that ultimate bridge between the one soul in all humanity and the infinite light of the Creator. And therefore, as we bring that light from the endless world to be manifest in our world through us, it manifests as healing the world, healing humanity from all of its negativity, all of its chaos and confusion. That every person behaving in pure, God-like, light-like ways let that vision sit in your mind's eye, be engraved in your heart and soul. Take upon yourself a commitment to extend this light as much of the day as possible, more and more every day, that you keep focused on being that pure conduit of light and a bridge between the upper worlds, the endless world, through you, out to every person on the planet. Feel the vibration inside you. Listen and hear the voice of your soul and whatever it's telling you to do as an action of transformational sharing to your next level. Accept upon yourself the privilege and the responsibility to do those acts of transformational sharing, bringing greater blessings into your life and more light, clarity, and blessings into the world. Together we take one more deep breath to anchor this into our heart and soul. Engrave it in our mind that it always be in our thoughts. And as you exhale, slowly opening your eyes. Thank you for joining us again. Please share this video with other people. Let it go out there. And if you're not familiar, in a few hours, perhaps tomorrow, it will also be, we have a Spiritual Sunday YouTube channel and also on Instagram. So it's out there in whatever form your friends are on, partake in. You can let them also enjoy, grow, be inspired, motivated, and see more clearly how they do have the ability to not only change their life, but to change the world simultaneously, from darkness to light, chaos to order, hatred to love. God bless.
Thank you for joining us. If you liked what you saw, subscribe to this channel that you'll be notified when we post new videos. Share the video with your friends, they can also benefit. And check out the website, www.kabbalah.com, that's Kabbalah, for hundreds of articles and classes. Wish you an amazing day, and God bless.